Partayers, here we go, video number 4. We're talking about parts of variable expressions now, okay? So parts of variable expressions. Variable expressions are made up of terms, okay? These terms are the parts of a variable expression. Terms are the parts of variable expressions separated by addition or subtraction. Okay, the parts of the variable expression separated by addition or subtraction. So we'll see what that looks like in a bit, excuse me. But yeah, basically, guys, variable expressions could be as long or as little as we'd like, and we call different terms, and we can count them, and we can see different terms based on how they're split by addition or subtraction signs. All right. Now, a very specific type of term is called a constant, and a constant is something that does not change. All right, a constant is something that does not change. So when we're talking about variable expressions, we call constants. I'm gonna use the phrase stand alone numbers. All right, standalone numbers. By that I mean they are just numbers on their own. Okay, there's nothing with them. There's no variables. They're just numbers. Okay, numbers on their own. Now the last kind of vocabulary word that we need to go into is the word coefficient. Okay, the coefficient is the value that a variable is multiplied by. And the easier way to think about this is the number, I'm going to put a star by this, the number in front of a variable. The number in front of a variable. Okay, so that's the easier way, I'd say, to remember what a coefficient is. So the whole idea, guys, is that if we know what terms are, and we know what constants are, and we know what coefficients are, well, then you should be able to identify the parts of an expression. All right, and that's what we're going to do now to practice. So when we look at this first expression, how many terms are there? Well, we see that I have 3x, and then I'm subtracting 5y, and then I'm adding 4. All right, so there are 3 different pieces or parts being split or separated by subtraction and addition signs. So this is a term, this is a term, this is a term. 3 terms. Okay? If we remember, the constant is just like a number by itself, a standalone number. So if we look, well, this is not by itself, this 3, it's got an x with it. And this -5, it's not by itself, it has a y with it. But what about this +4? Yeah, that is my constant. There's nothing else with it. And again, can this 4 change? It sure cannot. It cannot change because there's nothing next to it. There's no variable being multiplied by it that would allow it to change. So it's just always going to be a 4. Now the coefficient of y, remember, it's the value that a variable is multiplied by. Please make sure you understand that the coefficient is always just the number in front of the variable in question. So because we're talking about y, we need to look right here, and we need to very carefully understand that we need to keep the sign with the value or with the number. So because it is -5y, we're going to say that the coefficient of y is -5. Okay? So when we take a look at the next one, well, I have negative 3x squared minus 4x minus 2 plus 7y. So I have 1 part, 2 parts, 3 parts, 4 parts. I have 4 parts, or 4 terms. Sorry, I got turned a little bit. All right, so I have 4 terms. Is there a constant? Not here. Not here. Oh, yep. Here we go. We have a negative 2 or a minus 2. That's a constant. And again, why is it a constant? Because there's nothing next to it that would allow it to change at all. It's always just going to be a minus 2 or a negative 2. Now, a coefficient of x squared, again, we look for the value that's out in front of the x squared. We look for the value that's out in front of a variable. So what's in front? Negative 3. And we're done. We got it. Easy, easy, easy. All right, the last one. Let's take a look at this one. And then I'll let you guys try a few on your own. So when we look here, I have 1 term. I have 2 terms. I have 2 things being split by this addition sign. So I have 2 terms. My constant, remember, what is by itself? What number is by itself? What number is never, ever, ever going to change? And the answer is positive 5. All right, this plus 5 means that this 5 is never going to change. Now, the goofiest thing probably on here, coefficient of x. You might ask, well, Mr. Rabins, the coefficient is the number out in front of the variable, right? But there is no number out in front. So, what we need to remember is if you just have x, right, x plus 5, well, how many x's are here? How many x's? There's 1 x. There's just 1 x. So I know we don't always write 1 because it's kind of unnecessary, but you need to understand that there's a 1 out in front of that x because there's 1 of them. Okay? So, I'm getting a little tired. You guys try this. I'm done. I'm done working with you guys. I'm going to let Miss Burko have a turn. Okay? Good luck with the rest of your videos.